Welcome to Coffee Break. Thoughtful conversations for a busy world. Let's begin.
So, think about the last time you added a block to your calendar.
Right.
Maybe it was, a 1-hour meeting or like a dinner date or honestly even just setting an alarm to go to the gym.
Yeah, the everyday stuff.
Exactly. And you probably felt organized, right? You probably felt super productive.
You're checking the boxes.
Right. But what if I told you that tiny blue block on your screen is actually, well, it's actually a tombstone.
Oof, a tombstone.
Yeah. A memorial for like 1,000 other lives, 1,000 other experiences that you just actively decided not to live.
Wow, that's heavy.
It is. And so, welcome to today's deep dive. I'm your host, and I'm here to help you cut through the noise and find those real aha moments.
And I'm the resident expert for today's deep dive, here to help unpack the psychology and the hidden mechanics behind all of this.
Because today we're looking at the brutal, just inescapable mathematics of time and human bandwidth.
It really is mathematics, isn't it? And it's a kind of math that we go to, honestly, extraordinary lengths to ignore.
Oh, completely.
Which is why our mission today is so uniquely focused. We aren't scanning through some massive stack of research papers today.
Right. No heavy textbooks.
Exactly. No dense 500-page manuals. We are doing something much more surgical.
Which I love.
Yeah. We are taking a magnifying glass to a single, incredibly potent concept from a text called The Cost of Choice.
The cost of choice.
Yes. And specifically, we are exploring the implications of just one foundational sentence from it.
Let's hear it.
It goes like this. The hidden no in every yes dash, why every yes you say, is actually a no to something else.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because on the surface, saying yes means saying no sounds like, I don't know, a basic truism.
Right, like a bumper sticker.
Yeah, exactly. We all know the economic principle of opportunity cost, right?
Sure.
If I spend $10 on a book, I obviously can't spend that same $10 on lunch.
Right, the money is gone.
Right. But this text, it strips that concept out of the boardroom, right? Out of the economics classroom. And it applies it directly to our daily psychological bandwidth.
Yes. To our existential trajectory, really.
Existential trajectory. I love that.
Yeah.
It takes this basic idea and just forces us to look at the invisible architecture of our entire reality.
Precisely. It moves opportunity cost from a financial ledger to a psychological and emotional one.
Which is so much harder to track.
Oh, it's incredibly hard. And for you, the listener, understanding the profound depth of this single sentence it's perhaps the ultimate shortcut.
A shortcut to what exactly?
To navigating a culture that is just absolutely determined to overload you.
Oh, man. Tell me about it.
I mean, we live in an era of unprecedented infinite options. The anxiety of infinite choice is arguably the defining psychological condition of our time.
The defining condition. Wow.
Yeah. But the moment you truly grasp the mechanics of what this text is saying, you stop making decisions in the dark. You stop fighting this war against your own limitations that you can just never, ever win.
Let's dive right into that anxiety, because I think it stems from a very specific modern delusion.
Delusions.
Yeah, like if we look at how society and especially consumer culture frames choice today, it's almost always presented as an accumulation.
Oh, absolutely.
It's this idea that you can, have it all.
Right, the ultimate myth.
Right. You can have the demanding, high-powered career and the perfect, highly curated family life, the rich social circle.
The pristine health.
Yes. The fulfilling side hustles, the perfectly optimized morning routine.
And you're supposed to do all of it before 6 a.m.
Exactly. It's wild. The underlying promise there is that choices are just free additions to our lives.
Just stack them up.
Stack them up. But this text fundamentally rejects that. It reframes choice not as a freedom, but as a severe, unavoidable transaction.
It is an unavoidable transaction.
Yeah.
And, the historical context here is really crucial.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, for the vast majority of human history, choices were severely constrained.
Right, by like geography and stuff?
Exactly. Geography, social class, sheer survival needs. I mean, your career was whatever your parents did.
Right, you were the blacksmith because your dad was the blacksmith.
Exactly. And your spouse was someone from your village. The modern era just exploded that paradigm.
Totally.
Suddenly, we have dating apps. with literally millions of potential partners.
Which is exhausting.
It is. And we have streaming services with lifetimes of content and the gig economy offering endless professional pivots.
Just infinite options everywhere you look.
Right. And the culture adapted by telling us that because we can access all these things, we should try to maintain access to them all.
Oh, wow. So it's like an obligation.
Exactly. We are terrified of closing a door. But when we try to avoid paying the cost of choice by refusing to make a definitive commitment,
When we try to keep all our options open.
right, indefinitely, we end up with this scattered, diluted existence. We try to have it all, and we end up with absolutely nothing of substance.
You know, it's like we are standing in a dark room with a flashlight.
Okay, I like this.
Modern culture basically tells us that if we just move the flashlight fast enough, we can illuminate the entire room at once.
Right, just swing it around frantically.
Yeah. We want to see the career corner, the relationship corner, the hobby corner, all simultaneously.
But you can't.
No,
Yeah.
because that's not how the physics of light or, human attention actually work.
It really isn't.
The very act of illuminating one specific object is exactly what casts everything else into shadow.
That is, yeah.
Right. By choosing to focus the beam on one path, you are inherently darkening the others.
You have to.
If you just wildly swing the flashlight around trying to see everything, you never actually get a clear look at anything. You're just dizzy in the dark.
That is a phenomenal analogy. The flashlight perfectly illustrates the cognitive friction we experience
Cognitive friction, yeah.
because we are attempting to defy the physics of our own cognition. When you swing that flashlight around, what you are actually doing is experiencing constant low-grade decision paralysis.
And it is exhausting.
It is. The illusion of having it all is not just a marketing myth. It is deeply damaging to our neurology.
Wait, really? Like biologically damaging?
Yes. Every time we attempt to hold multiple conflicting possibilities open, we are heavily taxing our prefrontal cortex.
Oh, man.
We spread our emotional bandwidth and our focus so incredibly thin that we never cross the threshold of deep engagement with any single thing.
We just stay on the surface.
Exactly. We dilute our existence because we fundamentally refuse to pay the toll that true commitment demands.
Which brings us to the psychological mechanism of why we are so resistant to paying that toll, right? And why we swing the flashlight so frantically. The text calls it the hidden no.
The hidden no.
Yeah, and I want to dig into that word. Hidden? Why is the no
Hidden, that's the million-dollar question.
Because, if I actively choose to move to New York instead of Chicago, the no to Chicago isn't really hidden.
Right. You know you're not there.
Yeah, I know I'm not in Chicago. I don't see the bean on my morning commute. So how does this no manage to bypass our mental filters so effectively in our everyday lives?
To understand why it's hidden, we really have to look at the evolutionary biology of the human brain.
Okay, let's go there.
We are wired, quite simply, for tangible acquisition.
Tangible acquisition, meaning getting stuff we can hold.
Exactly.
Sure.
Our survival historically depended on recognizing and securing immediate resources. The berries we could see, the shelter we could build, the fire we could light.
The stuff right in front of us.
Right. When we make a choice, when we say yes to something, that acquisition takes up our entire visual and psychological field.
That's loud.
It is. It triggers a dopaminergic response. We see the new apartment we just rented. We experience the immediate comfort of the couch we decided to sit on.
Right.
The yes takes physical, undeniable form in our sensory reality.
Right. The yes is loud. It's literally right in front of my face.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the alternate timeline where you moved to Chicago, the experiences you would have had, the people you would have met, that remains entirely intangible.
It's just a ghost.
It is a ghost. Human psychology fundamentally struggles to calculate and visualize counterfactual realities in real time.
Counterfactual realities, like the what ifs.
Yes. And this is actually a biological survival mechanism.
Wait, to protect us?
Yes, to prevent cognitive overload. Imagine if every time our ancient ancestors decided to forage in the North Woods instead of the South Woods.
Okay.
Imagine if their brains forced them to vividly hallucinate and emotionally process all the berries they weren't eating.
Oh my gosh, they would just freeze.
They would have been completely paralyzed by the cognitive friction. They would have starved while trying to calculate the infinite permutations of their unchosen paths.
That is wild.
So the brain evolved to hide the no. It blinds us to the alternative so we can actually commit to the action at hand.
That makes total sense from an evolutionary standpoint. Like it's a feature, not a bug, that we don't see the no. Exactly.
But if we apply that ancient survival mechanism to the modern world, it suddenly becomes this massive vulnerability.
It becomes a huge liability, yes.
Because our environment has completely changed. We aren't just choosing between two patches of woods anymore.
No, not at all.
We are dealing with an environment that is actually engineered to exploit that exact biological blindness.
Yes, highly engineered.
Let me throw a hypothetical at you, actually, because I want to test how deep this concept goes.
Sure, lay it on me.
Let's say it's a Tuesday night. I'm totally exhausted from work.
We've all been there.
Right. I sit on my couch and I casually say yes to scrolling on my phone.
Just mindless scrolling.
Yeah, just watching short videos for an hour. Now, I didn't actively, consciously declare out loud, I am saying NO to reading the novel on my nightstand, or I am saying NO to calling my brother.
Right, there was no grand declaration.
Exactly. I just took the path of least resistance. So does the text imply that the brutal mathematics of the hidden no are still operating even in those mindless micro decisions? This raises a critical point. And it's really where the concept shifts from abstract philosophy to the hard reality of your daily life.
Okay.
The answer is yes. Absolutely.
Wow.
The opportunity cost does not require your conscious consent or even your awareness to be exacted.
It just happens.
It happens passively. Every single time you casually offer up your attention, which, remember, is your most valuable, non-renewable resource.
Right, you can't get time back.
Exactly. The cost is immediately and irrevocably deducted from your ledger of potential. You didn't consciously declare a no to your brother, or to the book, or to a good night's sleep. But the strict physics of time make it an absolute reality.
It's like this silent erosion of potential.
Silent erosion. That is the perfect way to phrase it.
Because you don't hear it happening.
Precisely. And modern technology platforms, they are masterfully designed to exploit this silent erosion.
Oh, completely.
They have removed all the friction from the yes of consuming content while keeping the no entirely invisible.
Wow.
If the no were loud, if it weren't hidden, your behavior would change instantly.
Give me an example of a loud no.
Okay, imagine if, after 60 minutes of scrolling, a physical alarm went off in your living room.
Like a siren.
Like a siren. And a robotic voice announced, "Warning, you have just permanently sacrificed 1 hour of building a skill. You have permanently sacrificed an hour of connection with your family, and you can never, ever get this hour back."
Oh my God. I would be horrified.
You would drop the phone immediately.
I really would. I'd throw it across the room.
Right. But because the no is completely hidden by our evolutionary wiring, the erosion of your life's potential happens in absolute comfortable silence.
That is genuinely unsettling.
It is.
It means that whether we acknowledge the transaction or not, the universe is keeping the receipt.
Every single time.
Every single time. Which actually brings us to the mechanics laid out in the rest of the sentence.
Let's look at.
The quote is, "Why every yes you say is actually a no to something else." The language here is just entirely uncompromising. It doesn't say some yeses.
No, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't say the major life-altering yeses. It says every single yes.
The mathematics are uncompromising because we operate within a realm of strictly finite resources.
Finite resources.
Yes, we like to think of ourselves as having boundless energy and limitless potential, but the biological and temporal reality is that you are severely restricted.
It's true.
You have exactly 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
You have a highly finite amount of cognitive load your brain can bear before decision fatigue sets in.
Right. By 3 p.m., I can barely decide what to have for a snack.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You have a finite amount of emotional reservoir, and because the pool of resources is rigidly capped, every single commitment, no matter how small, trivial, or passive, is a mathematical subtraction from your pool of infinite potential.
So there are no freebies.
There are absolutely no free moves on the board. When you allocate a portion of your finite self to a specific reality, that portion is instantaneously destroyed in all other possible realities.
Destroyed. That is, wow. So if we apply this to how we actually view our days, it completely inverts the concept of a calendar or a schedule.
How do you mean?
Well, we are taught to look at our planners as this positive space.
Right, productivity.
Yeah, it's a list of affirmations. Yes, I will attend this brainstorm at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
Yes, I will go to this networking dinner at 7 p.m.
Yes, I'll take on that extra project.
Exactly. We view a packed calendar as a sign of importance and fullness.
A status symbol, almost.
Totally a status symbol. But if we actually internalize the absolute mechanics of this text, we realize that our digital calendars are not lists of accomplishments.
No, they're not.
They are graveyards of no's.
A graveyard of no's. That is a stark but entirely accurate visualization.
When you think about it through that lens, it just changes everything.
It completely flips the perspective.
By saying yes to a simple, seemingly harmless 1-hour meeting on a Tuesday, you haven't just added something to your life. You have effectively dug a grave for all the other infinite things you could have done with those 60 minutes.
You really have.
You buried the workout. You buried the deep work session that could have advanced your career.
You buried the nap.
Yes! You buried the nap that would have restored your health. You buried the quiet moment of reflection.
All of it gone.
So that little blue block on your calendar isn't an achievement. It is a tombstone for 1,000 alternate realities that you just actively, perhaps ruthlessly, decided not to inhabit.
And this is exactly where the logistical reality of managing a schedule elevates into something with profound existential weight.
Yeah, it's not just time management anymore.
It's not. Because if every yes is absolutely a no to something else, and if every blue block is a tombstone, then truly choosing a life path is no longer a matter of simple logistics.
What does it become?
It becomes an act that requires immense, unflinching courage.
Courage. Because you aren't just choosing what to embrace.
Right.
You are actively, consciously choosing what to destroy. You are choosing what to let go of.
Exactly. If we follow the logic of our source text to its ultimate conclusion, choosing a definitive path requires the willingness to let the other versions of you wither away and die.
The other versions of you.
Yes. We all carry these phantom selves in our minds.
Oh, I know, I do.
Right. The version of you that moved to Paris after college?
Yep.
The version of you that stayed with your hometown sweetheart? The version of you that pursued art instead of accounting?
They just sort of live in our heads.
They do. But when you make a definitive choice, say accepting a partnership at a law firm in London, you are not just selecting a job.
Right.
You are actively participating in the execution of the alternate version of yourself that would have lived in a cabin in the woods, or the version that would have been a high school teacher in Ohio.
That is a lot to process.
Every major choice, every significant yes, is an act of pruning the tree of your own identity.
Pruning the tree. I like that visual.
And if you refuse to prune the tree, the branches become tangled, the tree bears no fruit, and it eventually collapses under its own unmanaged weight.
I want to propose a hypothesis here, actually, building on that idea of pruning the tree and letting these alternate versions of ourselves die.
Let's hear it.
Because normally, modern culture dictates that when we make a choice, we are excited about, getting married, landing the dream job, buying the house we saved up for.
The big milestones.
Right. We are supposed to feel just 100% pure, unadulterated joy.
We're supposed to be ecstatic.
Exactly. And any deviation from absolute happiness is seen as a sign that we made the wrong choice.
Like a red flag.
Yes. But if we accept the premise of the hidden no and the death of these phantom selves, it perfectly explains a psychological phenomenon that I think almost everyone experiences, but is, deeply ashamed to talk about.
Oh, this is fascinating. What do you call it?
I call it good grief.
Good grief. Okay, walk us through what you mean by that, functionally.
So it's the experience where even when you say yes to something incredibly positive, something you have actively worked toward for years.
Like getting married.
Yeah, like a wedding. There is often this strange, quiet, inexplicable sadness that shadows it.
Yes.
People feel it the night before their wedding to the love of their life. They feel it when they finally pack up the moving truck to head to their dream city.
And it confuses them.
It totally confuses them. Immediately they feel guilty. They think, why am I crying? Why am I anxious? Does this mean I don't actually want to get married? Does this mean I shouldn't move?
Because the culture tells them they should only feel joy.
Exactly. But through the lens of the cost of choice, that sadness is not a red flag. It makes perfect sense.
It really does.
It is a necessary mourning process. You are experiencing the grief of the hidden no.
Yes.
Even though you are thrilled about the path you are on, you are subconsciously mourning the phantom lives you had to definitively sacrifice to get here.
You are grieving the death of the alternate versions of yourself.
Exactly. The joy of the yes does not mathematically cancel out the existential grief of the no. They exist simultaneously.
What is truly liberating about this perspective is that recognizing this grief, acknowledging it rather than pathologizing it or suppressing it because you think you should just be unconditionally happy.
Right.
That is the key to psychological maturity.
Psychological maturity.
Yes, it means you are no longer suffering from the adolescent illusion that you can have it all without consequence.
Wow.
It means you are finally, truly internalizing the cost of your choices. When you feel that twinge of good grief, it is simply the feeling of making peace with the transaction of your life.
The transaction, it's paying the bill.
Exactly. It is the friction of reality. It means you are fully aware of what you are paying, and you are standing firm and saying, this specific reality I am choosing, this specific person I am marrying, this specific career I am building is worth the heavy cost of all the infinite realities I am sacrificing.
That is so powerful.
It's not a state of ambivalence or sadness. That is a state of profound, mature empowerment.
A state of profound, mature empowerment. It takes the guilt completely out of the equation. You aren't doing it wrong. You are just finally doing the math correctly.
Beautifully said.
It's honestly staggering how much philosophical weight is packed into just a handful of words.
Just one sentence, really.
One sentence. And we have journeyed from a simple observation about an economic principle all the way to the core of how we forge our own identities.
We really covered a lot of ground.
We did. We started by confronting the anxiety of infinite choice, realizing that the modern mandate to have it all is a biological impossibility that just leaves us dizzy in the dark.
We then explored the evolutionary mechanics of why our brains naturally hide the no.
Right, the berries in the woods.
Yes, making us dangerously blind to the silent erosion of our potential, especially in a digital age designed to harvest our passive attention.
The scrolling.
Exactly. We looked at the absolute, uncompromising physics of time. Understand that every commitment is a mathematical subtraction from our finite bandwidth.
The tombstones on the calendar.
And finally, we uncovered the courage required to actively prune our own identities, finding liberation and empowerment in the good grief of letting our phantom selves go.
For you, the listener, internalizing the depth of this deep dive is, well, I think it's the ultimate permanent antidote to FOMO.
Oh, absolutely. The fear of missing out.
Right. Because FOMO is entirely predicated on this false, toxic belief that you could have experienced everything if you just optimized your life a little better.
If you just move the flashlight faster.
Exactly. But once you accept the premise of the cost of choice, you realize that missing out isn't a failure of optimization.
It's just reality.
It is the fundamental, inescapable requirement of existing in space and time.
Yes.
By embracing the cost, by looking directly at the tombstones on your calendar, you can start making intentional, powerful, unapologetic yeses.
Unapologetic. I love that.
You can step into your choices fully aware and completely at peace with the required no's.
It shifts your entire psychological orientation. From frantically mourning what you might be losing to taking real pride in what you are intentionally building through your sacrifices.
It's about building a life of substance through the courage of your sacrifices.
Exactly.
So as you step out of this deep dive and back into the momentum of your day, I want to leave you with one final lingering question to mull over.
Let's hear it.
We've talked deeply about the big, visible life choices and the silent, passive micro decisions. We've talked about the phantom lives we let go.
Right.
So ask yourself this. If every single yes you say is automatically and unavoidably a no to something else,
Which it is.
what is the biggest, most life-altering no you've been unconsciously saying simply by maintaining your current comfortable daily routine?
Thanks for spending this time with us on Coffee Break. If this conversation stayed with you, you can find more episodes here on the channel. Until next time, take care.